I joined the Legion.
Guys, how you doing? It is Out of the Fog on a Thursday night, and I can't believe it's our last show before 2020. It's going to be plenty come this holiday. What do you got, Slim?
How are you?
Great.
2019 is like the rug, and there it goes.
Shoop, it's gone.
Yeah, crazy.
So let's talk about the holiday season, because by the time this airs, you and I are going to be competing for the Young Dumb Boxing Day show, the
That's
big
right.
shiny Boxing Day show, and then
Yep.
we'll meet up at the brewery, Kitty Vitty, for New Year's Eve.
That's right. I know. It's very exciting. It's Christmas has been busy, and we just had our Christmas party last week, December 13th, at the Velvet Club, and that was great, too. So, yeah, rock and roll.
I love it. Guys, tonight we got wicked guests, great times, Winnie, Steve from the Yes series, and we're going to finish off with the legend Hubert Hutton. It's Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
Let's do this.
Now you're talking.
This is it! It's crazy, right? Especially on Christmas.
Yes.
You're watching Rogers TV, St. John's.
That's how we like to bring people back from the break. A little close-up on our little highlighter, buddy.
Oh, those poor, poor people.
I love it. That's hilarious. You guys should have seen him earlier when he was trying to cross his eyes. That was a real look. Guys, Out of the Fog, we're back and we're loving life. And the first hang this evening is the one and only entrepreneur and general community guy, the one and only Stevie Wonder's Steve Ryan.
Thanks for having me back, my friend.
What's up?
Living the dream, you.
Oh, I feel the same. Thank you so much.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's good.
It's on the go tonight.
You, Winnie, and then we're going to close it out with Hubert Hutton, but we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about you.
Let's do it.
So when we first met, this guy already owned his own company, and I was so lucky to have you join the team, and now we create magic and wonder of our own all day, every day.
We do our best.
But something really cool about you is the Yes series, which Steve started because he wanted to, if I could put words in your mouth,
Please.
Let everyone across the province know that if you're young and coming up, you don't got to leave the province to be successful. You really can start something special yourself and rely on community to help make that dream real. Am I right?
That was our goal. We were seeing a lot of people, especially in schools, say that as soon as they finished, they wanted to pack their things up and get out of the province. And as we know, just from being around, there are so many government jobs and not as much in the private business side of things. So we're seeing guys come up with everything from Collab and Misa in the tech industry to John Loader down at Relic to Kate Vallis at Piatto and Chris Sparks at Mr. Lube. There's a lot of diversity going on these days, and if you see other people do it, you're more inclined to do it yourself. So we're trying to put those stories out there and have more people feel like they can get engaged.
I think it's amazing. And so ultimately we can appreciate, if we tuned into the Yes series via the social channels, we'll talk about those in a sec, that we're going to hear the behind the scenes stories of all of the amazing people who went on to do their own thing.
That's the name of the game. The questions that I ask, I always love when you serve them up a question and they take it away. And every person that we had on this season really told their story, from every roadblock they hit to how they overcame and led a successful business. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. And the first 3 episodes are live now. So if you go to our Facebook page, and here's my plug, you'll see the first 3 episodes, and we got 2 more coming. So check it out.
That's wicked. What do all of the people that you have interviewed over the 2 seasons of the Yes series, Young Entrepreneur series, what is the tie that binds? What's your big key message that you walk away with? What's the vibe?
I guess the biggest vibe is most of the people that we end up having conversations with, it started with an idea. It started with the fact that they were like, I'm here at home, I have passions, I have interests, And if I tie those things together, I can turn it into a business. And that's the underlying theme, is they didn't start off with pounds and pounds of cash to be thrown out there and try something and hope for the best.
Right.
It was they had drive, and they decided to channel that into something that ended up being their career. And I think that's the coolest thing you could possibly ever do. What about you?
Well, I agree, and I think that successful people, no matter who they are, they're not just well-rounded, they're well-surrounded, and it speaks to the importance of community and working together. And I know you know a lot about that because obviously through Yes Series and your own business, it's about people helping people.
Big time.
So what's the most rewarding thing for you about being in business?
The most rewarding piece of it, and even if I could tie it to Yes, because I have my own business as well.
Convenience Crew, check it out.
If you need your lawn mowed, we're your guys. But the most rewarding piece is that we get to be involved in the community. So Yes is sort of the side where we show off our business friends, and also we brought the college in, so education is represented. The Inn by Mallard, Steve Lee is the man helping us out. So we're really getting interconnected with all the business side of things, making new friends, showing off the things that exist right here in Newfoundland for you to do.
Yep.
And then right down to Convenience Crew, where we're hosting food drives. We're able to provide jobs to people in the community, and that's the ultimate measure of success for us on both of those fronts. So really proud of that.
Do you think young people coming into business have any delusions of grandeur about huge salaries and working 5 hours a week? Do you think that is what a lot of older people may think, that when you're getting into business is for those superficial outcomes? Do you think that young people are waking up to the reality that, we're just trying to provide opportunity and make ends meet,
Mm-hmm. If your goal is to be get rich fast, maybe go in the tech industry. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're not willing to put in the sleepless nights, as we know, that's not going to pan out. So get ready to put your feet to the ground and start running, because it never stops. No day is the same, but it's always going to be interesting. And I think that's why we love it.
What would you hope that people will walk away with when they watch the Yes Series videos on your socials? What's the vibe for that?
Well, I think you actually just said it, is there's a lot of obstacles being on an island in the Atlantic Ocean, and sometimes our own worst enemy is ourselves. We get in the way and we say, there's no way we can do that. I'd be laughed at if I tried to do that. And that's not the case. There's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of places like the Genesis Center, the Munn Center for Entrepreneurship, and they're branching out. They're willing to help you along the way. And a lot of individuals, hit up this guy if you need any marketing advice.
Or
those
this
kinds
guy.
of things.
And maybe we'll both hang out with you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
We love that.
We love it. So in a final minute, Yes Series, please let everybody know how we can access the episodes online.
So it's a Facebook series. Please check us out at Facebook, YesNL19, you'll find us. As I said, the first 3 episodes are out. Stay tuned for the next 2.
Can't wait. So guys, Steve, Ryan, Yes Series, Convenience Crew, and final moment shout out to CBDC and Youth Ventures, who brought us together in the first place, which is another incredible island-wide organization that does so much to encourage entrepreneurial times, whether you're old or young or somewhere in between, like me. After the break, we're gonna have Winnie come through and a performance, and then Hubert Hutton. This is Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back.
Mom, you said it's played again.
Workplace injuries hurt the most at home.
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together is stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Out of the Fog Thursday night, and as you knew before the jump, we're hanging out with all the movers and shakers making it happen. And to my left, to hot topics on the go in our performance community. The genres are expanding at all times here. Hip hop, R&B, rap, this is the formula, and I love urban and how it's coming on strong here in the province. Winnie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great, glad to have you back.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
And I can't wait for the performance upcoming.
Hey, we'll see what goes on. Yeah.
Stay tuned there, everybody.
Absolutely.
And what are you saying?
Oh, this is it, man.
Dope
Chilling.
piece, kicking it.
Kicking it.
So we're gonna get to you now in just a hot second, but until then, I want to kick it off with you.
Hello.
Welcome back and talk to me about the success of I, which was the release of last year. Had you on one of the best performances, actually, I feel that we had one of the most unique performances in a bunch of ways as well.
Thank you.
So what was that like?
It was great. It was a complete first experience for me. Like the whole putting your music out there, the whole writing and production. Sleepless nights. We had guys falling asleep in the studio. I remember there was food. Like the boys would be at home working on the album. I was out, you know, whether it was marketing or meetings or whatever, and they'd call. They just text and be food, and I would go and pick up steaks or whatever it was. Go home, make sure they're all fed, and leave again. So to see that process of the album and how that actually happens is amazing. It was amazing. It was a great experience, and we learned a lot. So this time we didn't have anybody passing out this year. So that was going itself.
It gets easier. You get to know sort of the tempo of how it's going to go from start to finish in the recording land, you know?
Exactly, and you know what to spend time on and what not to, you know, or what to work on, if there's stuff at the end of the process right before you're about to release an album, there's a lot of days you don't see coming. So do all that stuff in the beginning of the year, or if you have an album in prep, and then at the end you can really focus on the album as opposed to the marketing, and have things ready or have videos ready or have certain things ready for your release. So that way, when the release is going down and all these days that you think you have time, you don't have time.
You don't have the time.
Plan around it. So
smart man.
And we also like to do things a little bit different and difficult on ourselves. So it's
It's
our own troubles as well, right?
That's how we do it. And now, how do you add into all this? I know that you guys obviously are co-creatives, making it all happen. So what brings you onto this stage, and why do you think that this next album that we're going to hear more about now in a minute is something everybody across the province should lean into and listen more of?
Well, basically, I've been with Winnie since the beginning, really, and watching him grow and flourish into the person that he's becoming and everything. This album's definitely his greatest, best work I've heard so far. And I'm very confident in having everyone in the city hearing it and everything. I'm excited for it.
That's great. Yeah. And so talk to us about the evolution of I to us and what that means to you and what that's going to mean to the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I, of course, as we explained last year, it was just about a perspective of your own, you know, that's it. Like, you know, you come into this world, you're born from two seeds. Eventually, all you want to do is flee those two seeds. And then you get to a point where, like, who am I? You know, what am I? What do I want to do for the rest of my time? All those things. So that's where I came from. And us is kind of the point where you get to, after you find a couple of those things that you like to do, you still have so much to figure out. Because there's still so much to understand about what to do with the rest of your time. But after you find a couple of those things, it kind of, I guess, new people surround you. You know, you end up in new circles and new places, new things, and new friends, new circles. Sometimes certain family members here and there, and what they mean and what they actually represent now. So I feel like once you find a couple of those things, it turns from I to us. You start thinking for your girlfriend differently. You start taking relationships serious, you know, and those things. You turn to this us thing, you start thinking differently, and you don't change. People always say don't change for someone, but it's not that you change, you adjust. And after you adjust so much, you end up just being a changed person, a better person for yourself. So that's what we're talking about.
I'm very much on that tip lately. It's like the difference between change and evolution. You know, change is uncertain, and we're insecure about change, and evolution feels natural, and we lean into that. So it's funny how those perspectives can be so different, but the word is so close, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And us is just, you don't realize how much work that takes. Us.
Oh, yeah.
Just the idea of
and
more than yourself.
Us, like two people or a community.
Exactly.
Which a lot of themes come out.
Exactly. You know, a lot of people don't understand the responsibility of us. Like, you know, it's easy to walk around in your life and not care for anybody. It's easy to not take schedules serious. It's easy to
be selfish.
Be selfish. You know, to do what you want more than what your spouse, your friend, that community, or what the better thing to say is sometimes.
How can we get you online?
At Winnie Churchill on pretty much everything. And don't forget Sid Syndicate. He's our right-hand man there, and he's going to have a lot of projects coming out moving forward. So make sure to look out for Sid Syndicate, also known as Dope Piece, Jacob Piercy to some. Too many names to count, so look out for him and that thing.
I'm going to double down on Dope Piece, so that got me lit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, guys, Out of the Fog. We'll be back after this break, and bend your ear to the one and only Winnie. We'll talk soon. Hey guys, how you doing? We just had the King talk about everything going on with his new album coming out, and now hearing Winnie's Room, it's the man himself. Give it up for Winnie.
Some call me Erwin. Same person.
Hey, huh? Yeah. I've been living in my mood. I keep on dancing in my room. They fake it. What else we gonna do? We young and in the mood. Welcome to Winnie's Room. I've been living in my mood. I keep on dancing in my room. They fake it. What else we gonna do? We young and in the mood. Welcome to Winnie's Room. What you mean you don't watch no more? All those curves I can watch no more. All them drinks got me feeling good. On my I can talk no more. Hey, I'm an inch from a bad day. Once we touch, we get backspace. Need that love. If I'ma need your love, if I'ma need your. Long time since we did this. A little bit of alcohol can fix this. Pour a little bit in that cup. I don't wanna remember how good this is. It from a place before. One top, I can lace no more. Oh my gosh, she gon' do it. No love from me, hey, no love from me. It don't make no sense, huh? You Billie Jean, huh? No company, hey, when no company, huh? It makes no sense, huh? I'm Billie Jean, huh? No love from me, hey, no love from me. It don't make no sense, huh? I'm Billie Jean, huh? No company, hey, I want no company, huh? This makes no sense, huh? We Billie Jeans. I've been living in my mood. I keep on dancing in my room. They faking. What else we gonna do? We young and in the mood. Welcome to Winnie's Room. I've been living in my. I keep on dancing with my mood. They faking. What else we gonna do? We young and in the mood. Welcome to Winnie's Room.
Guys, it's been a great show so far, and I want to finish this show, the last show of 2019, with one of my personal heroes. This is an interview I did earlier this week with the one and only Hubert Hutton of Atlantic Business Magazine. Please enjoy the interview and enjoy your holiday season. It's music, it's choir life, and now we're switching it over and we're going to talk business, but from a different lens. Right in my hand is an invite to the launch of Newfoundland Lifestyles, which was an amazing event held up in Toronto in 1984. And the man behind it all, who is a hero in my eyes, I've told you before, the one and only Hubert Hutton. How are you?
Thank you, DC.
I'm so glad to be having you here on the couch because Atlantic Business Magazine, for those of you who know, which is a lot of you watching the show, is really the Bible for business in Atlantic Canada. In the pages are the faces and the opinions of the real pace and taste makers in every industry that does business. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
What made you think of getting this magazine started all those years ago?
A friend of mine came to me and said, you know, we do not have a high gloss magazine in Newfoundland. So why don't we, that's period. And he said, let's start one. And I said, why do we not? Let's do it.
That's wild.
And then the dance started.
Oh, I'm sure. It's still dancing.
Yes.
What's that, 5, 10 years? How long is it now?
37.
But who's counting, you know?
But who's counting, right?
Not you, that's for sure.
Oh, I gave up counting.
I was at a Board of Trade event years ago when I first entered into business life. And there you were, walking around that room, knowing everybody. And I said, who is this man? And now in my hand is a book, and I want you to talk to me about that.
So 37 years ago, when we decided to go to Toronto and go to the advertising agency or go wherever we could to pick up some clients, we did not have the sophistication that is today, websites. And so we came, I made up a mock-up of a book, went to Robinson Blackmore, did a mock-up, took a bunch of magazines, tore the pages out, and glued them in. You couldn't get any more amateurish than this. And I walked in off the street, and my first client was Bacardi. And after I did my song and dance, and wow, they went all 8 issues. Got up out of the chair, went out next door, next building, and there was Rothman's. So the first 2 calls, we had 16 ads, full-page ads. They were the first 2 ads that we ever sold in the magazine, myself and my friend who started the magazine.
I can't describe how it feels to me to hear about having an idea, taking other magazines that the mainland had, ripping and copying and creating a vision for what could be and selling the vision.
That's exactly what I did.
I know, it blows my mind.
And that's walking straight in off the streets. Never, no phone calls, can I come in? Just walked right in, cold calls.
Today, 37 years later, the book's like a Bible when you pick it up.
That's pretty good.
It's a lot going on in there. Yeah. And what, just probably a couple hundred copies that you print off every edition, is it?
37,000.
Now.
Everyone accounted for. Audited.
It's amazing. So when you guys walk into any office, whether it's on the table, whether it's a doctor, someone you're doing business with, that magazine is pretty much there. Yep. How does it make you feel when you walk all over the city and see that?
Well, feels good. I mean, you got to remember, you started 37 years ago. If it wasn't the local paper or the local TV or the local radio, this was just very strange. And it took us about 5 years. Mortgaged the house 2 or 3 times to keep her going. But we did it. And then it started to grow. And from there, we went right on into Atlantic Business Magazine, from Newfoundland Lifestyle to Atlantic Business Magazine. There just wasn't enough population here that could handle a high-gloss magazine. So we took on the 4 provinces, and that's a long story, making it short.
Sure, I get it.
And then it took 3 or 4 years to get that off the ground. So it was around 10 or 11 or 12 years before you could say, this is Atlantic Business Magazine, would you be interested? It started to catch, and then 21 years ago, Dawn Chafe came on the scene with her talons.
That long?
21 years, she's there 21 years. This is our 22nd year.
You can tell when you speak to her that she wakes up for it.
Oh, yes.
She lives it.
Oh, yes. This magazine in the last 15 years has won international awards, the Tabbies, all the other awards that are Atlantic Journalism Awards and what have you.
Right.
And we're out throughout the world. We're in the Maple Leaf Lounges. There's only a couple of Canadian magazines that are in the Maple Leaf Lounges.
You've arrived, you know. Storytelling and the power of stories.
Yes.
It's very in vogue now in the marketing sphere. No matter what company you run, it's all about, you know, don't try to sell a product, sell them the story. It's like this. 37 years ago, you got that. You knew that before it became popular. Talk to me about stories that you have read and helped to create over the years that tell the story of how much work and amazingness goes into being successful as a business in Atlantic Canada. How much does it mean to you to be a storyteller?
Well, to be truthful with you, it was very difficult starting off, trying to get. But then Don Chafe came on the scene. With all due respect,
Sure.
And Don Chafe now is one of the owners of the magazine, along with my daughter, as you know.
I do.
I'm walking back out of it. But these are Dawn is one of the ladies that's the biggest story. She has gotten the correct writers around Atlantic Canada to pick some of these award-winning stories that has made our magazine. There's no two ways about it. I mean, for us to win Tabby International Awards, these are what you would call big awards from people making the decisions outside of Atlantic Canada and admiring your magazine and your work. In fact, I give you a funny little story right now. It's a very good story, actually. Don Chafe came to my office there a couple of years ago, and she said to me, we were just chosen 36 B2B business magazines in the world out of 95. I said, no, Don, that's somebody who's trying to sell us a $500 who's who. And she said, no. And she came back with the information. I said, tell me why. Because of our editorial content.
Boom.
And our arts and layout and design of the magazine.
That's amazing.
Oh, no, that's a big story. That's to be 36 in the world.
That's a thing. I'll tell you what, you got a lot to be proud of.
Oh, yes.
I'm thankful you came on the show. I'm thankful for the future of the magazine. Slim, hit me with a beat, would you, boy? I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. A pleasure. A big round of applause for one of our tastemakers. Guys, we'll see you next time. Have a good one. I can't believe it. Look at the eyes of the book.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.